Hi, I'm Joe Dubinsky, and welcome to the June episode of This is Glendale.
And I'm Bet Chorus. So what do we... Oh, hey, Mayor, welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Loved the first show, and we're all looking forward to the next edition of This is Glendale.
Thank you.
Terrific.
So have a great day.
Thank you.
You too,
Mr. Mayor.
Take care.
So, good to see the mayor.
Likewise.
Yeah. So, I interviewed Joanne Good, who's president of one of our garden clubs, and she told us about something that very special they do every year for our residents.
That's terrific.
Yeah, and then I'm going to catch up with Steve Locker about the June Auto Show, which is going to be held June 23rd on a Sunday.
That is a fabulous show. If you've not seen this, be sure that you have a chance to check it out the next time it comes.
One of the best events in summer in Glendale. And then, Bet, did you know that there was no Starbucks coffee in the train station when they ran commuter service down to Cincinnati?
Well, I don't think it was anything like Bluebird or UDF, but maybe, I don't know.
No, but that didn't deter the commuters from having a cup of coffee while they waited for the train. I'm going to tell you what they did.
Well, terrific. That's great. I'm going to be talking to Joe Hubbard about the park board, different aspects, the history, and the future things they're planning for. And also I'm going to be visiting Chief Warman at the police station, checking out the new digs. I didn't get to see it when it was a grand opening. I'm really looking forward to it. Maybe some of you didn't get to see it either, and this will be your first time. And we've also got a special recycling quiz.
Oh, interesting. And finally, we'll close with a look at our special Memorial Day Parade, one of the great events in our village in the summertime. So, hope you enjoy the show. Hi, Glendale is certainly rich with tradition, and I'm here with Joanne Good, president of the Glendale Centennial Gardeners. Joanne, can you tell us a little about your garden club?
I would be happy to. You know, in Glendale there are actually 4 garden clubs, and we are the second oldest. We were founded in 1955, and that's why we're called Centennial, because that was also the centennial of the incorporation of Glendale.
Great. So what are you doing here today?
Well, today is May Day, May 1st, and every year we gather together to create May baskets for people who have had a difficult year, whether it's someone dying in their family, illness, whatever, and we just want to bring them a little bit of cheer.
How many years have you been doing this?
Well, we know that the club has been doing it at least 40 years, but since we go back to 1955, it could even be longer than that.
How many of these do you typically give out every year?
It fluctuates, just depending on what's happening in the village. Today we'll be giving out 30, but sometimes we've given out as many as 40 to 50.
That's wonderful. And why do you do this?
We do it to put a smile on people's faces, because that's what friends and neighbors are all about.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Joanne. I'm Joe Dubinsky for This is Glendale.
Hi, and welcome to this edition of This is Glendale. With me today is Joe Hubbard. Hey, Joe.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Joe, former mayor of the village, is now the chair of the Glendale Park Board, and he's going to educate a lot of us about things that most of us don't have any idea. Joe, so obviously we have a lot of very beautiful green space. How much exactly is in the village, and how is it handled?
Well, about 90 acres of green space between parks and actually green space, which is not developed and really not used by residents, but it provides trees, air space for trees and grass and things like that. We're sitting right now in what I call the big park, which is really Floral Park, is its real name, and the Floral Park got its name because there were a lot of flowers here planted that came up in the spring, and people really relished those flowers. And just down the road, we have what we call the small park, and that's a park that was founded. His real name is Van Cleve Park, and Van Cleve was the first person to donate funds to create the park board.
That's terrific. Now, in our previous conversations, I thought, and you corrected me on this, that Glendale, before it was Glendale, was probably wooded area, but you said...
Oh, well, it was wooded area. It was farms and wooded area, and it was very lucky because it kept its its original soil. And I didn't understand until recently what that really meant. I thought it was just when they built the houses, they didn't move the soil around because of the age of the houses. But it was also the glaciers on the west side of Ohio stopped just north of here. And like in Dayton, there's a place called Moraine, which is that's loose gravel from where the glaciers stopped.
So we don't have the gravel soil.
We have our original soil here, which wasn't scraped away by the glaciers.
Well, no wonder everything's so beautiful here. Okay, so tell me more about the parks themselves. You've mentioned two. You don't have to give me specific names, but is there anything that's going to be going on with anyone in particular?
Well, we have two larger parks, and they're used primarily for sports. We have Washington Park, which has soccer fields. We have and play equipment and things like that. We have another park called Summit Park, which has baseball diamonds and play equipment and things like that also.
Terrific.
And they all have their own stone bathrooms and for the children that are using the parks. We have a couple other parks in the village too, but they're smaller than those two. And the village traditionally has cherished its parks.
It's terrific. Yeah, that's what makes it so special. So let's talk about the canopy. I know that there have been some recent impacts that have lessened the canopy, but I know that you guys are planning things to replenish it.
Okay, that's interesting because you're absolutely right. We've lost about 1,000 trees in the last 10 years. To things like age. Trees don't live forever. Ash trees with the emerald ash borer has killed a number. We've taken down about 600 of those.
Wow.
1,000 were the ash trees in the village. There's heavy winds sometimes that come through here that knock down our trees, and so about 1,000. This isn't a big community, but that's a lot of trees. We plant, as the park board, we plant maybe 500 a year. Or 50 a year.
Okay, right, yeah.
Might be a little heavy, but 50 a year. So if you look at the last 10 years, we've replaced about half of those trees that have fallen during that period of time. You got to remember the park. Well, for your information, the park board only operates on donated funds.
Right, yeah, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, okay, because I want to make sure that people understand that. But talk about the diminishing of the canopy to some pretty drastic trimmings.
What do you mean by that?
With Duke Energy and how you've sought to make that lesser an impact in the future.
Well, we've had problems recently with the trimming of trees and pruning of trees by Duke, and we always moan and groan every time they do this, but it's necessary. I mean, so they're not evil people associated with it. They got to have, these trees can't bring down power lines because everybody gets upset every time they have heavy winds.
That's true.
And a tree falls over and all of a sudden they don't have electricity for this or that. But I've got to give credit to Duke. They've been doing a good job recently in trying to work with the different villages, not just Glendale, but all the villages. They've hired vegetation managers to deal with the residents, and the last cuttings they did in Glendale, they were excellent as far as communications concerned, and leaving the place, not overdoing the trimming itself. But so that's always been a problem, and we have to try to replant trees near these power lines so that and trim them.
And trim them.
And
right.
prune them. Okay.
Right. Yeah. And is there a long-range plan for certain types of canopy trees that you hope might be planted?
Well, as part of replenishing the trees, I said not all of them had been done yet. We deal in the park board with public trees on public land.
Right. Yeah.
There's a lot of residential land here, which we don't get into, and that's the residents are responsible for that. And they do a good job at trying to keep that tree forest canopy up in their own properties. But what we've done is to provide some lower cost trees for them from a local landscape company, and so that they can plant trees there, and the canopy type trees, which are broad and get to about 30, 40, 50 feet.
Right, we have some magnificent
Yeah.
trees like that.
And so eventually they'll blend in with the rest of the traditional canopy here.
I wanted to ask you about the current park board, if you give us some information about who does what and what their qualifications are.
Well, we are very fortunate in Glendale with the park board. We have 8 members, one being the mayor and the administrator, who are very, very, they're very excited about what the park board does, and they give support to the park board and the maintenance of the parks and things like that. We also have 6 members, and they're varied. Some of them are graduates. A couple of them are graduates of the Ohio Department of Natural Resource Tree Academy.
Very good.
And we have a couple graduates of colleges that specialize. Their degrees specialize in horticulture. We have one member that was a manager of landscaping for Hamilton County Parks.
Terrific.
And we have one that's an artist and sculptor, and has a business of helping people plan gardens and landscaping. So yeah, we've got a lot of talent on the board, and they're all volunteers,
Yeah.
and they love doing what they're doing.
That's terrific. And now we want to mention how the park board has money. So you want to pitch that to all of us?
Okay. It runs totally on donations. We get about $30,000 a year in donations from residents and institutions around Glendale. In addition to that, the village does the pruning and does a lot of pruning and maintenance of the parks, which is included in the village budget. But 90% of it comes from donations itself. We're very fortunate.
Right. And a lot of people are thinking in terms of buying a tree in memoriam of someone who passes. I know we can't have the names on the trees, but that's a really good way for people to think about donating, don't you think?
Yes, it is. And by the way, since you mentioned that, we also provide trees for new births. Every time somebody is born in Glendale, we provide a tree and we plant it in celebration of that birth. And we give a proclamation at the council meetings, and this happened one time, and one woman whose child has the proclamation over her bed, looks at it every day, loves it. Yeah.
That's terrific, and this is Glendale. Thank you for joining us.
Joe Dubinsky here. I'm behind the Glendale Heritage Preservation Museum in the Village Square. This building once served as a train station for the commuter line that serviced Cincinnati. That service ended in 1929. But up until then, if you wanted to get downtown to Cincinnati, this was probably the most efficient way to do it. So, if you were headed to work in the morning, there was no Starbucks where you could stop in and get your mocha latte with soybean milk. So, what'd you do? You took that last cup of Joe from your house and you walked down to the station. Now, what are you going to do with the cup? You're going to bring it all the way downtown? That seems kind of silly. What you would do is you'd hang it up on the fence, and then you'd pick it up when you came back from work in the evening. For This is Glendale, I'm Joe Dubinsky. One of the best events held every year in Glendale is the annual car show. This year, the car show will be held in the Village Square here on Sunday, June 23rd. I'm waiting to interview Steve Locker, who organizes the event. He should be here any moment. Oh, there he is. Morning, Steve. Hey, Steve, thanks for coming down here. So, what do you have here?
It's a 1969 Jaguar Series 2 E-Type, normally known as an XKE.
Wow, that's beautiful. Man, I'm telling you, nice ride. So, how did the Glendale Car Show get started?
Well, interesting, in 2005 was a bicentennial for Glendale, and I got a phone call from the mayor, Dr. Tom Todd. And he said, I would like to have a car show. And he said, would you help us put one together? And I said, absolutely. And it started off, and that's where it all began.
So what year was that, and how many cars were on display that first year?
That would have been 2005, and we had about 75 cars show up, which surprised us. We didn't expect that big of a turnout.
And how many you expect this year?
Probably around 120, possibly even more this year if the weather holds.
That's great. So you raised some money. Can you tell us where it goes?
Sure. It goes to the Police Needy Family Fund that they have here in Glendale, the volunteer fire department. We do it for the Glendale Youth Sports, for the Glendale Boy Scouts, for Harry Whiting Brown, and this year we'll also do the Scout House.
Well, that's terrific. So can I get something to eat and drink down here at the car show?
Absolutely. All the restaurants have said they'll be open, and they will open up early, and so there will be lots of food. We will also have an ice cream truck with free ice cream, sponsored by UDF. And so there won't be a problem, and the fire department will also be doing their burgers and brats this year.
And so there's a concert right afterward. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, it's Cincinnati Symphony. They do a concert around 6:30 right after our car show, which usually ends around 4:30, 5 o'clock.
That's great. So how do you register, and what's the fee for the displaying your car at the show?
Good question. On the website for Glendale, there's a registration form and a liability release form that people can print off and sign and mail in a check. It's $15 for pre-registration, $20 at time of show, and we're the only show in town that if we have bad weather, we refund the pre-registrations.
Well, that's terrific. I got one final question. Can you give me a lift home?
Would love to.
Thank you. All right, let's go.
Thank you.
I can't wait to ride in this thing. It's great. Remember, the Glendale Car Show is going to be held Sunday, June 23rd from 11 to 4 right here in the Village Square. Don't miss it. See you later. Bye, Bet.
Here we are in the Chief's new office area, but before we get started, I wanted to thank the Chief for letting us interview him with a This is Glendale mug.
Thank you. I'll add it to my collection.
Terrific. Okay, so tell us about your office and the other offices.
About a year and a half ago, the offices, this used to be the old train museum.
Okay.
That's now over at the depot. And we needed more office space because it's, our station is so small. So we took this open space and we added a couple walls and made 3 offices.
Terrific.
And moved all my administrative staff upstairs, myself, my lieutenant, and sergeant.
Terrific. So now, Chief, here we are in the historical courtroom of Glendale. I have to say I've never been in here before. How did the renovations impact this?
Basically, what we got was a new entrance for security to come into the courtroom. Our judge and our prosecutor are up here, and folks used to have to enter behind them by adding a new door. Now they come in from the outside and are immediately, they can sit right inside here. So
More convenient and more secure, I would guess.
yes, it is.
Yeah, right. Okay. So talk to us more about why did we have to do this major renovation?
Well, honestly, it has to do with being in compliance with ADA. For years, we were unable to get people's disabilities into the courtroom without assisting them.
Well, Chief, you've taught me a lot of things about the renovation and how that has helped everything, but here in the village, there are a lot of special services that the police department provides. So could you enlighten some of us who may not know about them?
Sure. We have many new residents that moved in the village over the years, and a lot of them don't know our services. So one of the things we specialize in is our key file. We hold keys to the majority of the residents in town, and this summer we'll be going around house to house to check the keys to make sure they still work. The keys are very important because it gives us access to their residence in case of an emergency, or if they're out of town on vacation, they need something, how we all think when we leave for vacation, there's this to do, and you forget to do something. Well, we've had calls just to simply go in and turn off an iron, or to turn on a certain light for a resident, or to make sure their window's closed upstairs. And that's what we hold the keys for. And also, folks still lock themselves out of their house, and they have access to get into their house at any time when we have the key on file.
We're very lucky and very spoiled that that's available to us. What about vehicle keys? Is that something that you're doing as well?
We do a lot of keys, but with key fobs these days are so expensive. Folks do drop off keys to older cars. We have many of those as well. And it's really handy if they can afford to have a key fob kept with us, because if they're out of town, we could overnight it to them, and they wouldn't have to pay for a lock service.
Well, in addition to the keys, we here in the village have special access to a police officer if needed.
Right, we carry a cell phone with us 24/7. Of course, we have our 24-hour dispatchers, but the easiest way to get a hold of us in a non-emergency situation would be to call our cell phone number at 678-1017. Or call myself, 678-1016. We carry our phones 24/7, and we're always available.
That's terrific. Is there any other thing you would like to tell the village about?
Yes, with vacation season coming, we do out-of-town reports. It's one of the best features we offer is you let us know you're going out of town, and we'll check your house daily while you're gone. There's a form that we have that's available here at the station that you can fill out, and we can call you in an emergency. We can call you if there's a problem. We can call you if there's a package delivered that you don't know about, and we'll leave a message to let you know we have that package or if there's a problem. The one thing I do stress about the out-of-town reports is, when you go on vacation, avoid using Facebook and posting that you're on vacation in Florida or any other media out there, because you let the bad people know where you're at.
That's terrific. So many people aren't aware of that, and you're absolutely right. That's how the thieves are getting in.
Exactly. And we want to stop that. When you get back, post all the pictures you want. It just, tell a neighbor that you're leaving, tell us that you're leaving, and we'll keep an eye on your place while you're gone.
That's terrific. Well, thank you so much for all of your information, showing us your new digs. And this is Glendale. Thank you so much. So, recycling is a good thing.
It is.
And we want to make sure that everybody does it correctly. Are you ready for a pop quiz as to how to exactly recycle the proper items?
I'll give it a try.
Here we go.
All right.
How about this?
An aluminum can. I think that's recyclable.
This.
Oh, I think that's recyclable too. It's a glass bottle.
Very good.
It's plastic. I'd say it's got the symbol on the bottom. Looks recyclable to me. No?
No, this is not a recyclable plastic. More on that in a minute.
You just threw it in the recycle bin.
Sorry about that, folks.
All right, here we go. This is live TV, folks.
How about this?
Yeah, I think that's recyclable. Just cardboard.
Right, very good. How about this?
It's a plastic container. I think that can be recycled.
No. Trash.
Oh, okay. I'm not so good. Envelopes. Well, these have the little things in them, like the little. I'm gonna put that in the garbage.
No. You can recycle it. It's primarily paper. That little bit of plastic doesn't impede anything. It's fine. And this?
Steel can. I think steel is recyclable.
Absolutely correct.
Yeah, I think it's recyclable.
It is, and I'll tell you why. This plastic is recyclable because the mouth of the body of the unit is smaller than everything else. That's what you need to remember. The yogurt container, the mouth was much wider than the body. The small drinking cups, the mouth was wider than the body. Only plastic bottles with a smaller mouth than the body goes into recycling.
What about the cap?
The cap is fine. It also is recyclable.
All right.
And
All right, well, that's a plastic bag. That can go right.
oh, please stop. Never. This little culprit here is probably the single most dangerous thing that you can recycle, because it gets caught into all the extensive machinery that Hamilton County's recycling, that Rumpke recycles. It mucks up everything that they do. They beg you, please bring your recycling to your recycler. In the plastic bag, fine, but take the plastic bag and throw it in the trash. Now, you've learned a lot, yes?
I have. Thank you, Bet.
And we hope that everyone in the village learns this as well. If you want some more information, you can go to www.rumpke.com, and they have explicit instructions about what you can and cannot recycle, in case we kind of blew it here with some of our mistakes.
Well, we hope you enjoyed our show this month. Keep in mind the Glendale Community Library, when you do your spring cleaning, they're having their annual yard sale on July 13th. Don't forget to donate your treasures to support this good cause, and make sure you attend the yard sale and buy somebody else's treasures.
There are always amazing things there. I love going. Also, the Harry Whiting Brown Summer Concerts will be in full swing this month. Be sure to bring your chair and your favorite beverage and come on over to the lawn in front of the pavilion.
Finally, congratulations go to Hannah Dorger. She finished her junior year at Ursuline Academy by turning in a record-setting 4-minute 52nd mile, beating the school record set in 1991. What's more, she was named one of 3 scholar athletes at Ursuline. Way to go, Hannah.
And that's it for now.
I'm Joe Dubinsky.
And I'm Bet Corus.
See you next time on This is Glendale.
Memorial Day isn't just a day to party, go to the pool, and parade. It's also a day to gather and remember those who have served to protect our country. We think back to the soldiers who have fallen to protect us and pray that no more will die for us again. Each of those unique and strong men and women will all have one thing in common. They love America and all our citizens. My papa served in the Vietnam War as an airman and fixed the radios. He once told me, Memorial Day isn't just a happy holiday, but a meaningful time to remember those who have served the country. I never really knew the meaning of Memorial Day until I asked questions. Then I was aware that not only did the men and women serve the nation, but they were willing to take the risk and stop what they were currently doing to join the military. They knew that they wouldn't return being the same person they were before. This holiday is a time for us all to show our gratitude to the dauntless veterans.
Duty, honor, country. To be sure, these principles are what make up the fabric of us veterans who are proud to have been part of that great brotherhood and sisterhood we call the United States military. But these principles of duty, honor, and country also apply to every American, military or civilian, because it is our duty to honor our country. That flag we stand under here today is the banner under which countless thousands have died, giving their lives to keep us all safe and free. So as we leave this Veterans Memorial today to share the holiday with friends and family, let us keep the memories of the fallen close in our thoughts and in our hearts, remembering the sacrifices of these heroes and celebrating what they did individually and collectively to defend, protect, and preserve our nation. Duty, honor, country.